Good morning, everybody. Today is Saturday, March the 5th, and welcome to a brand new edition of the Kingdom Driven CEO. Today on the Kingdom Driven CEO, we are going to kind of do a follow-up from last week's episode. Last week, we talked about leading ourselves. Now, what we're building up to is how to be a kingdom-driven CEO, a CEO that helps to create a kingdom culture within your organization. Basically, we're going to bring Jesus, the love of Jesus, into our business, but we're going to do it in a way that is very sensitive. We're not forcing anything on anybody, and everybody feels comfortable. We have been doing this. It is possible, and it is really magical when you can achieve it. So last time we talked a little bit about leading ourselves. We talked about the battle of the mind, the magic of mornings, different ways of thinking, the abundance mentality, first things first, succeed or learn. We talked about some time management stuff. And so today we are going to talk about leading others. So again, first we have to be right ourselves. And then we have to learn to lead others. Clearly, the goal of a leader is to bring the best out of our people. What I'm going to share with you are some ways that I believe that we can do that. And it all kind of boils down to this quote, which I read somewhere, but I have no idea where I read it. So forgive me if I am plagiarizing you and not giving you credit. But it was, you can control something or grow it, but you can't do both. One of the things that I have learned is I've worked for micromanagers, and they may make sure that things are being done right, but it is so paralyzing to the organization that the organization never grows. When you hire the right people and let them do their job, give them guardrails and give them clear expectations, it can get a little scary sometimes. Things are happening within the organization that you may not know about, or maybe you may not exactly agree with. But if it's close, if it's not something that is really detrimental to the organization, you've got to let them do their job. So what we have found is that there are really three keys to maximum productivity. They are having a supportive and loving environment. Everybody should feel supported. It shouldn't be a gotcha culture where you're trying to find people doing wrong. Number two, a high degree of autonomy in decision making, letting people make decisions within the spectrum of their job. And then finally, a high degree of accountability for outcomes. So it's both. You're giving them a lot of rope, but you're holding them accountable for how they perform. You're not telling them what to do. You're telling them basically the vision that you are looking for. That is a very, very important difference there. So here's why I think those three items are so important. Every employee we have has 100% capacity. Okay, if they are motivated, focused, clear on what their job is, they love their job, they're well matched to their job, and they are very, very engaged, they can get up near that 100% point where you are getting the absolute most out of them, and they are the happiest. They're fulfilled, they're productive, they're making a difference. On the flip side, most employees are not any of those things. They are not motivated. They do not have clear direction. They don't really like their job. I have read that the average employee has about 42% engagement. So I think by doing those three things that we just discussed and a few of the things that I'm going to share here today, I think we can get closer to that 100% engagement. And when we do, what you will see is a drastic change in your organization, not only from a financial perspective, but also culturally as well. So let me jump into just some strategies for leading others. Number one, Vulnerability and transparency. I think the leader has to be vulnerable and transparent. And very briefly, there's a great story about some friends of mine in Lubbock, Texas, and they had a son who they led a large home building company. They had a son who had kind of fallen off the rails, had ended up going to jail, maybe prison over some drug issues. They were embarrassed. They tried to hide it because they thought they would lose the respect of their employees and clients. And long story short, one day it got out in the community and people were talking about him. And so they just prayed about it and decided it was time to just come clean. So they brought everybody together and just told them what was happening and asked them to please pray for their son. And lo and behold, one of the computer programmers there had the same exact issue, had been in jail, had been in prison, had drug issues, came forward, gave them some great advice on how to deal with their son. They talked to their son. He talked to the son himself. It was just a magical experience. And now that young man is the CEO of their entire organization. So vulnerability and transparency is very, very powerful. And I want to mention a quote that only vulnerability can cause transformation. Success never does. And what that means is nobody really cares about your success. They care about how you can relate to their problems and how you made it through. So vulnerability is magic. Number 2, make decisions quickly. Don't belabor decisions. I believe 99% of the decisions we make are not that consequential anyway. And you got to keep the organization moving, support people. Don't set on decisions and have paralysis by analysis. Number 3, be a learner and not a knower. We all hate working for somebody that thinks they are the smartest person in the room and always has to have all the answers, takes all the credit from other people. Be a learner, be open. When people give you feedback, even if it's something you feel very, very strongly about, listen to them, learn from them. It's amazing what you can do as a leader if you'll just be open and listen. Number 4, be a coach and not a rescuer. We all have the tendency as leaders to go in and want to save the day and fix the problem, but that's really the worst thing you can do. The best thing you can do is ask the person questions to help them come up with the answer on their own so that they don't become codependent on you as the leader. And number 5, delegate everything but genius. Now this is a big one. This means we should be at our highest and best use all the time. Whatever you are doing that you are not great at, that you are not the best at, you should not be doing. You should delegate that to someone else. The more of your time that is spent focusing on your best giftings, the better the organization will be and the happier you will be. Number 6, overhire and undermanage. This one is pretty self-explanatory, but early on we kind of cheaped out. We tried to hire, save money, and manage the people, and it just never worked. They just weren't qualified. It was not a good situation for our company, and so I learned a few years ago to go ahead as best I could to go ahead and pay the money and hire the best. Now, sometimes you pay the money and you don't get the best. You were just wrong. But oftentimes you can tell when somebody's really, really talented and they'll probably have a higher market pay, and you just need to pay that and then let them do their job and get out of the way. Next, I use a team leadership model. That is basically where our executive team makes virtually every decision together that is of consequence, big strategic decisions. Now, day to day, make the decision. But when it comes to big stuff, make the decisions together because you will make better decisions than you do on your own. It's kind of a hit to the ego, but you'll definitely make better decisions. Show everyone you care, and I mean everyone. Now that, you can do that in a number of ways, just getting to know them. I meet with every employee after 90 days. I try to reach out to every employee on their birthday and anniversary to tell them how much we appreciate them, no matter what level they are at in the organization. Next is higher expectations. This is huge. We've got to realize that we're not the only smart people in the world and that other people can do things too. So giving people responsibility, raising the level of expectations, huge. Lead courageously. Make sure to, and this is our last one, when you know something is right, you have to take a stand and do that, even if it's not popular. When I started the devotional at the bank, it was terrifying, but I was certain that the Lord was leading me to do it. Now we have touched over 135,000 people all over the country and in 4 foreign countries because I had the courage to step forward into God's calling. You may know that there's an employee that's hurting your organization and you're just afraid to make the move. We need to have courage. You may know that there's some things going on within the organization that need to stop, but you just don't want to upset people. Do the right thing and have courage. So I hope all of these little tips would help you as you are thinking about leading others effectively. And again, our entire goal here is to lead ourselves, which we talked about last week, to lead others well so that we can create a kingdom culture that will not only be successful, but will change lives as well. So thank you so much for joining the Kingdom Driven CEO today. And I hope you have a great week and we'll be with you next Saturday. Thank you.